Let's get into Sunday night football coming at you in NFL Week 3. We have got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on big winners of Monday Night Football. They've got a day less of preparation. It is the Atlanta Falcons. It is in Atlanta. Patrick Mahomes is going to get to knock a stadium off on his bucket list while playing during the regular season. Um, what are some things, especially given the shenanigans that went on Monday Night Football against the Eagles? What are some of the things that we should be expecting from this potentially highfalutin game?
We should expect Kirk Cousins to not get out of the tackle box very much at all. T just still not look like he can move very well back there. Whenever he has the time, he's still a pretty good quarterback. But if we can get some pressure, which we will definitely get some pressure with our D line, we're gonna make him move a lot, and he's gonna have a very long day. I'm gonna love watching it. Plus, it's primetime Kirk.
Yeah. Primetime Kirk always shows
Primetime
up.
Kirk just
Yeah.
Primetime Kirk just had a big win on Monday Night Football.
That's
I
the
know.
thing.
Well, that's
Does
because
going
Nick
to Atlanta
Sirianni's a
change
fucking
that?
idiot, but
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. How many times has Kirk Cousins won though? Because like the other coach or like there was bad clock management or something like that. I think that would be an interesting stat. But name how old is Kirk Cousins? 30 something?
37,
35.
35.
35. Name another 35-year-old that moves well inside of the tackle box, Sean.
Aaron Rodgers.
Does he?
Moves well.
I mean, he's looking a lot better coming off that Achilles than Kirk,
Yeah, that's fair.
and
And
he's
well,
he's older.
Different Achilles, different Achilles,
different Achilles, but
different
also,
Achilles.
and he healed it differently. Like he went. There's
He
a good
didn't listen
case
to
study
dolphin
here.
sex noise.
That is true.
There's a really good case study here for what is a better way to recover from an Achilles tear. That's for sure. But yeah, Kirko, he's going to show up as he always does in prime time. I don't think I what to expect. I expect um this to be a higher scoring game than we have seen, and I think from both teams. I think I think we're probably looking at like a 50 point over under here somewhere in that ballpark. I could be completely wrong and sound like an idiot, but that's just kind of how I'm
40 for the
feeling.
Chiefs. Yeah, I got you. I like that.
I mean, maybe not 40 for the Chiefs, but I really think because what you guys have given up 27-ish points the last couple weeks.
Ish.
We have not given up more than 25 points since the beginning of last year, like minus the Super Bowl.
You won. They
Oh,
had
and
20.
the Packers.
They scored 26 points last week.
They
Didn't
scored
that, didn't
25. We scored 26.
Oh, and what about week one? Didn't they score like 27?
No, they
You
got
guys
like
had to score 30
21,
to win.
20.
Oh, either way, they're going to put up at least probably 21 points, probably looking at 27 points there. So I think with that, you guys are probably going to have to score 30 points to win the game. And I think that is a good football game. That is an entertaining football game. You're probably going to have some defense. You're going to have some good offense as well there. And I expect Carson Steele to redeem himself. He's not going to fumble. He's probably going to score a touchdown this week.
I wanna ask Tommy because saying that there's going to be over 50 points is pretty big given what we've seen in the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. There haven't been very many games that have gone on the over of 50. The only one I can think of off the top of my head was Cardinals Rams last week when the Cardinals put up 41 alone. Um, Given that the defenses, and it's something that's being talked about a lot, the defenses are
Evolving.
finally finding a way to stop the offenses, playing the two high safeties, making a lot of teams taking the unders, really stopping them short. What makes you think that we're actually going to get this? Is it just because it's Chiefs Falcons, even though both teams have fantastic defenses, or do you think that the first 2 weeks of this NFL season, especially now that we only have three preseason games and the starters aren't playing that often, we're finally getting into the groove of the season?
I think that has definitely something to do with it. We all thought Kirk was washed after week one. He got another week under his belt. He got some game reps in. He looked really, really good on Monday night. Also, too, you say like Atlanta does have a good defense. I do not think they did enough to. I really think they struggled to stop the run. Granted, that could have something to do with Saquon Barkley, but I really do think they struggled to stop the run in the first half of that game. And I think if I'm an Atlanta Falcons defensive coach, like first fucking thing we're going to do is stop the run. Don't let the Chiefs beat us, you know, running the football. We're going to try and eliminate that and make Patrick Mahomes throw it as many times as possible because he did have 2 interceptions last week. If I'm the Falcons, I'm gonna try and I don't want to say steal the Bengals game plan, but we're gonna stop the run and we're gonna throw up like you were saying what the too high safety look
Nope.
and maybe kind of like rotate depending on where Rice is or kind of like to wherever the strength is. And yeah, I think Atlanta's gonna make it a point to stop the run and kind of force Patrick Mahomes to throw it 40 times. And I think that's gonna lead to a lot of points.
See, that's what I'm expecting that also because Andy Reid relied on Pacheco so much to go in there. He
Mhm.
loved him as a running back. He really didn't start using him a whole lot in games until last year. So I see this is a classic Patrick 45 pass attempt game. Easy.
Yep.
You don't think the Chiefs have much trust in Carson Steele to maybe get, I don't know, over 15 or more carries?
Not yet. I think he's going to probably get around 10 to 12 carries. I think their run game is mainly going to be bubble screens and dump offs and stuff like that for this game.
I think, well, what we talked about it yesterday, um, the Cowboys, who was the two running backs for the Cowboys, only had 13 combined carries, and that was playing down. So I think if Atlanta really, really tries to stop the run, yeah, I think Carson Steele comes away with, they probably only run the ball. They probably run the ball less than 20 times.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't totally disagree. I think the I'm very happy that the Kansas City Chiefs, Brett Veach mainly, did not go out and try and trade for a running back and give away a pick or any player capital to go out and get a guy, regardless of the situation. Just because I think our team is built well enough. I mean, it hurts obviously not having Hollywood Brown. That would be a big help in the run game, especially with those screens that you were talking about. But I think we're going to see a lot of RPO, more so than we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Probably still no play action, but RPO is going to be in, and some bubble screens. We're probably going to force Travis Kelsey to get involved. I think it's going to take a couple weeks for a running back to really emerge themselves, whether it's going to be Carson Steele, or maybe it's Samaje Perine, or maybe for some odd reason it actually is going to be Kareem Hunt who takes over that leading role. It's totally possible, but it's going to take a couple weeks for somebody to actually get involved. And for anybody who is a big taker in who is that Keontae Ingram, probably going to see himself get cut very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
I would say he's going to see a max of 4 snaps probably over the next 2 weeks, and then he's going to be out.
Sad to see because he had some promise last year, but too many running backs in that room.
He had a lot of promise. I did like him as an Arizona Cardinal. He did have some really good runs. Thought that would be a good fit for him just because of James Conner and his injury history, but got beat out by Amari DeMarcado and the rest of the running back room there in Arizona. So maybe he'll definitely see himself on another roster, but in Kansas City, it's not going to be his time to shine at all.
I think one thing we want to remember for Sunday Night Football and this Chiefs Falcons matchup, so you got primetime Kirko, and then in my humble opinion, as someone who watches the Chiefs sometimes because I have to and other times because I want to, uh, but I think if it's a primetime game, the Chiefs are going to show up and they're going to put on a fucking show. At the end of the day, I think Andy Reid likes to put on a show. I think Patrick Mahomes likes to put on a show, and that whole team does. And I just think you expect. I'm not saying like a 55 over under here, but I think 50, 50 and a half, 51 on the dot. I can see that. I
And we're
can
all
totally
forgetting
see
about
that.
one big thing here. It's Mahomes in a dome. The elements do not affect him there. He's going to be airing that thing out. He's going
Does
to
he
have some
does
deep
he
balls in
like
this game.
he likes the domes?
He loves the
He
domes.
loves the domes. Right now it's at 46 and a half.
Oh, easy
So,
over. I like that.
mhm. I do like the
So,
over there.
Sean, you mentioned earlier expect Kirk Cousins to feel under pressured quite a bit. And in game one of the season against the Steelers, he was sacked 2 times and he was hit 7 total times. But fast forward to Monday Night Football against the Eagles, he was only sacked 1 time and he was only hit twice. So big improvements for the Falcons. I know he was rushed quite a bit. Being rushed is totally different than being hit because
Mm-hmm.
he can still get that ball out and they're protecting him well enough to be sacked. What makes you think, especially given the last couple weeks of not really a whole lot? I mean, there's been pressure from the defensive line, but not a lot of quarterback hits nor sacks. Why do you think that changes in week 3 against the Falcons?
Well, I just feel like the Chiefs' defensive line is going to be out there ready to go. Spags is going to get up some crazy blitzes. And the hardest thing for Kirk right now is driving off that back foot whenever he throws. So he can still get the ball off quick, but it will not be as accurate as he wants to be. So he's not going to have enough time to actually get it to where he wants to go.
Do you
I
think
think.
that
Oh, go ahead. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going to say, do you think that that means that there's actually more opportunity for our DBs to finally come away with some additional turnovers? Like maybe he is getting pressured, but he can't drive off the back foot. He's maybe not getting sacked as much, but that pressure could lead to those turnovers because of the weak ability to really push off and get some zip on the ball.
It will leave the opportunity for it. I think still it only seems like the only guy in our defense that can really get turnovers right now is Tremari Connor. Our other cornerbacks really cannot catch interceptions until I'm proven wrong. So the opportunities will be there, but will we capitalize? I don't know. We don't have good turnover luck.
I think you guys have to capitalize. If you really want the turnovers and you want the pressure, you got to start early. You got to hit him in that first series, second series, and make
Make him
him
feel
very,
you.
very aware. The problem is, see, the difference between pressure and getting hit is that you don't feel the pressure the next day after the game. But if someone hits you, you're definitely going to feel that. I do think, though, Kirk Cousins loves to just sit in the pocket and take it. We all remember watching the quarterback show a year or two ago. That guy got beat up so much in that show. Like I think he kind of just likes it. I think he thinks that part of being a quarterback is just staying there, throwing the ball and then feeling someone decleat you. Like I really do because he took such a beating in Minnesota. I think it's part of his game. I think part of his game is like I'm going to
Makes
take
him
a
a little
lick.
bit better of a quarterback.
I'm going to take a lick, but this ball is going to be in that window. Like I think that's the Kirk Cousins mindset,
Yeah,
honestly.
I can't disagree. We saw that for a long time, and we're still seeing it in Atlanta, hanging on to the ball sometimes a little bit too long, maybe
Yeah.
just so he can take that hit. It was reported a big change, not a big change, but a small change in the stats from week 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Jones was originally given half a sack. That half a sack has now been taken away from him and given a full sack to George Karlaftis. Do we think
Oh.
now? Chris Jones did put out a tweet saying George Karlaftis was buying him dinner. Had a good laugh with it, but do we think that that changes Chris Jones' mindset, and this is the week that we really see him turn it on for the rest of the season?
Oh, it's definitely got to be. I mean, he has been after the quarterback the whole entire year so far. He's been in the backfield. He's looking like an absolute phenomenal defensive player of the year candidate right now. It's bound to happen, and this is just the perfect time with an immobile quarterback for him to actually get out there and get some sacks.
One other thing I really wanted to add, I'm so sorry, but what's the one difference between the Pittsburgh game and the Eagles game for Atlanta?
TJ Watt.
TJ Watt. You have an
That is
elite pass
that's big.
rusher. You
Well,
have an
I'll
elite
also
pass rusher with Chris Jones too. Like I think Chris Jones probably eats
I,
early.
I'd say this too. There was actually a big mix-up in the way the play calling went in the Eagles game as well. Not only is there the difference in TJ Watt, but in week 1, the Atlanta Falcons were tipping their plays. They never ran
Mm,
the ball from shotgun. They ran like 26
mm.
plays from shotgun. There was 0 run plays from shotgun. They ran 22 plays from pistol, and out of those 22 plays, 16 of them were run plays. So they never ran out of shotgun. They more than 70% of the time ran the ball out of the pistol and then were lined up under center the rest of the times, which I can't remember that specific number off the top of my head, but Yeah, so they were tipping their plays. They knew when it was going to be a pass. They knew when it was going to be a run. Fast forward to Monday Night Football against the Eagles, the tipping of plays kind of goes to the wayside a little bit more. The mix up gets called a little bit better, but that I think that plays a big part. Not only T.J. Watt, but now you're not tipping plays and you can't tee off when you see that.
Yeah, I think that's also probably from like camp. That was probably just a tendency that they had probably developed through camp. Also probably to get Kirk a little bit more comfortable with the system possibly as well. This is just speculation. I don't know 100%, but yeah, I mean, you can't it's okay to have tendencies, but you can't have tendencies like that. You can't do stuff like that, especially against a really, really, really good um, pass rusher or just front six, front box like the Steelers, like the Chiefs. Can't be doing that. So hopefully they stay away from that tendency this week.
We tend to talk a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs during this segment, and you can't blame us too much. We are Chiefs fans. Well, two of us are Chiefs fans after all. But we need to talk. We need to start talking a little bit more about the opposition as well, because this Falcons team, we had our friend Dave on, who's a big Atlanta Falcons fan. We all kind of expected the Falcons to maybe kind of run away with this division. Um, Not knowing where Baker Mayfield and the Bucks would kind of be at, just given the consistency issues in Baker Mayfield's career with the coaching staff. And now that's kind of flipped upside down. And the Falcons, we don't really still know what to expect. In week 2, Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan all looked a little bit better, especially than they did in week 1. But it seems like they're still kind of in that rudder from last season where they'll have a game here or there, but who knows if they can all be consistent. What do we kind of expect to see out of this Falcons offense as we move forward? Because we know their defense is going to be good.
I'm honestly expecting two of those guys you named to have a pretty decent game. The first one being Bijan Robinson. I think he is going to be an elite running back in this league for quite a
0
while.
touchdowns so far.
Zero
I know.
touchdowns, but man, he can make people miss like out of nowhere. Another big guy to think of is Kyle Pitts. He's not known for doing big things. He's usually on my sit-'em. But guess what? We struggled
Bolden
against tight
can't
ends
cover.
last week. Yeah. Bolden cannot cover. He tries, but he
Yeah.
can't cover.
No, I think Kansas City has proven that they can stop the run. So I don't think Bijan Robinson probably has a great game. He might get in the end zone if they get down by the goal line and hand it off. But I absolutely expect oh my gosh, I'm the worst. Pitts, sorry. Uh, I expect Pitts to probably have a very good game, and I would probably look at him anytime touchdown. If you were thinking about a same game parlay for that evening game, I would say too, being a trenches guy, it all kind of it ends up coming down to the guys up front. If the front five can get it done and slow down. I'm not gonna say stop because there's really no stopping the Chiefs, box. But if you can slow them down and keep them on their heels a little bit, I think that's their best plan to try and win the game, honestly.
I would say this because you're not wrong in the way that the Chiefs defense has been able to stop the run pretty consistently and pretty well time and year over year, especially against some top running backs, like Derrick Henry. But the one thing that we have consistently struggled against is receiving backs. And that's one thing that, hey, if we need a multitude from a dude, Bijan is that guy. He can run the ball, he can catch the ball. Now, I love our safeties. Love our safeties. Justin Reed is one of the best safeties that's in the league, but we have the toughest time with being able to cover the running back just because we don't account for him. And these guys have weapons. So expect maybe a pretty good game from Kyle Pitts, maybe 2 touchdowns.
Mhm.
Drake London will most likely be locked up. It doesn't matter who he goes against. Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Josh Williams. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Those guys are most likely going to lock him up. It's going to be a tough day, but it also expect to see Bijan Robinson get out in the open space and be a receiving back, regardless if it's a flat route, a wheel route. He's cutting back with an angle over the middle. Expect for him to be pretty open, because if he's covered by a linebacker, it's not going to matter. And if he's going to be covered by some of the safeties, they have so many different responsibilities. Sometimes that running back just gets lost out there in the field.
I do. Do you think Spags probably is like, you know what? These motherfuckers, they're riding high. They've won 2 games. They think they're hot shit. I'm going to set up a game plan to force these DBs to tackle Bijan Robinson in the open field. And do you think that's how far ahead? Because the Chiefs have been so much better than a lot of people for a long time. Do you think that's how he thinks? Like he's not thinking about this game like he is, but he's game planning this game to make his team better later in the year. Like I'm going to force my DBs to tackle now instead of them being forced to tackle in week 18 when everybody's in pain and it's cold outside. You know what I'm saying? Do you think maybe like you think maybe he's just like, all right, if Bijan Robinson's going to beat us by catching passes out of the backfield, he's going to beat us, but if not, then we're going to have to tackle him.
See, I think Spags has instilled into our defensive backs very well to attack the ball when it comes off screens or anything like that. Our cornerbacks are really good at getting in the open field and getting those tackles. I mean, last year was a lot of L'Jarius Sneed, but Trent
Mhm.
McDuffie's been known to do that. Jalen Watson's getting in there a little bit. So these guys have
Oh,
the
oh,
ability to do that.
almost slipped up
So
there.
really close, really close.
I would I would agree to an extent with you, Tommy, that yes, we're going to give them different looks. Is there going to be a force to
Uh-huh.
go down and play differently by tackling earlier or whatever? Just like Sean said, that's not an issue, because the guys that we have on this team at DB are guys that you want on any other team. They're guys that go and make the tackles.
Hmm.
But as far as like scheming wise, yes, I think Spags would give a different scheming outlook now so that they could be set up later on. Does
Hmm.
that mean that we don't win or that we're giving up plays? No, I think
No,
he's going to
no.
give a completely different look, so you're absolutely befuddled later on should you meet again.
Hmm.
But that also is very confusing when it comes to the type of guys that we're going to go up against in the Atlanta Falcons with their skill set. It's the Chiefs defense in the secondary is going to have to be probably its most diligent that it's been this year, because you're coming off of two games that are one dimension. You have the Ravens, who really don't know how to throw the ball. It's only run the ball. And you come away from the Bengals, and all you really have to do is worry about Jamar Chase. And as long as Jamar Chase isn't beating you like he always does, then you don't really have a problem, because they don't have Joe Mixon and they've got rookies at their other position. And Joe Burrow isn't really going to run the ball anymore with his injuries. And now you're going into a game where you have multiple facets. Maybe it's not a mobile quarterback, but you've got a running back who can run and catch. You've got a big guy who can go out there and make moves, not only on the interior side in Kyle Pitts, but you've got the exterior as well. And they've got more positions than just those, or more players than just those guys we've named as well. It's going to be all around, going to have to be a fit up all around.
Well, I kind of disagree with what you said about the Ravens there. I think Lamar Jackson absolutely knows how to throw the football, and he's pretty good at it. I mean, he was what? He was what, that far away? Him and his tight end were that far away
Only if
from
only you
from
ran the ball more.
yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing though. I think he was tucking the ball a little. I think he was getting kind of nervous later in that Raiders game this past week. I think he was forcing himself to make a play against the Raiders, and he was tucking it a lot. But I don't know. I don't. That's the past though. We don't have to worry about that. We're talking about the future here. Um, but yeah, no, Sean, do you do you agree with what Ty Bob just said there, or what?
Oh, wholeheartedly, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Or
know,
calls.
I got a little lost. He was going on for a little bit.
You were, yeah, you did almost, you
I
almost lost me. You almost lost me, Ty Bob, which is hard to
Well,
do
as
because
long
I
as
almost lose
listen,
myself.
as long as I don't lose Tommy, we're good.
Yeah. But I do think we'll see some fireworks on Sunday night.